George Thompson again. After I did the first two videos, I realized there were a couple other things I wanted to mention, so I'm doing a third video. Here's a sign-up screen again. If you just go into or if you just go into any Google site that isn't signed in yet, you get this blue button, sign-in button. So we'll click on that again. Again, we can sign in as MidwestCMG1@gmail.com, or your own user ID if it's registered as an owner or can edit one of the sites with the appropriate password. Down here, create an account. If you haven't registered your own user ID as a Gmail or as a Google registered ID, click on create an account, and you can put your own email address in your username field here along with your name, create a password, and then you can sign in as a Google account. And if you've got a particular, it doesn't have to be Gmail, it can be any email address, but if you have it registered in this manner, then you can inform the webmaster that you want to access the site, one of the for instance, the director's site. Make sure you register ID in this manner, and then you'll be able to access the director's site. So I wanted to go over that, and I'll go ahead and sign in here. I wanted to go back into the sites again, so I'll redo that as I described in my first video. And one thing I forgot to mention, I'll go into the production site, was that I talked about the home, I talked about next meeting. This is where we describe the next meeting. Then we have registration. That's where we have the PayPal button that's described in the second video. And we also have the news. You notice the news actually has the current post on the current meeting and then our prior meetings. It goes back quite a ways. You notice the format usually for a meeting is the agenda in this table format, followed by speaker's bio. And occasionally we just have we don't include the speaker's bio. We didn't include them in this last meeting. But that's the standard format. And once you update the next meeting page, you delete the old agenda and put in the new agenda. I believe I described how to do that in the first video. I'll briefly describe it again in case I forgot to do it, because I've redone these videos a couple of times. I had some trouble with them. So basically, the August 13, 2014 MCMG agenda is the Word document I got with the agenda, but that's a little too wide to fit into the web page. So what I do is I select that, and then I hover over the right side, just make that a little narrower so that it'll fit better. Maybe it's a little too, so it'll fit better on the web page. Then I'll right copy that. And then I'll go back. This time I'll go to our test site. And I'll go to the next meeting. And I'll click on the Edit Page button. And I'll erase the old agenda. And then punch in the new agenda. Right, paste. So that's how that's done. And of course, then you'd also want to update the location information, possibly the map of location. You might want to update that. I hit save right here. Take a look at map of location. Gives you links to a map. Well, how did that work? Go into edit mode. Click on it in edit mode. and you can see it gives you the link. So if you want another location, just Google map it, copy the URL to it, and then punch it in here, and you can update that location link after hitting the change button. You delete it, the old link here, and put the new one in. So that's how you would update the map a location link. So if I didn't really update it, so I'm just going to cancel out of it, discard changes. Now once you update the next meeting, notice that in registration, there's a link to the next meeting link, so you don't have to. I thought there was. Well, this registration, I thought there was a link here for the next meeting link. See, is this test? This is the test. Let's go to production. Next meeting. Yeah, it says please sign up. Instructions are on our registration page. So we have a link to the registration page from the next meeting page. We go to the registration page. There's a link here back to the next meeting page. So they kind of link back and forth to each other. And once you update the next meeting page, another thing you have to do, you also need to update the MCMG notices here in this column. I believe I went over how to do that. I'll again do that quickly. Click on the settings buttons here, and then do the manage edit site layout. Then you can hover over this and make edits that you need to make in that box. That way, you can also hover over the countdown box and click choose a date and change the date, which in this case should be August 13. And I guess I was in the test environment. No, I'm in the production environment. That's odd. It should have been already that way. I'm going to close this out. Okay, and the thing I forgot to mention is you go to the news link after you do all that, and you want to do a new post. In fact, all the posts are listed here in the news. And you'll notice that some of them have bios, others don't. So you want to do a new post, put some information in front of it as here, and then copy in the agenda item, again, in the new post for the next meeting. And then people who subscribe to this website and have an RSS feed will get an update to that feed with the meeting announcement. So that's kind of neat. So basically, you got to update the MCMG notices section here when you have a new meeting. You have to update the next meeting, and you have to update the news. And essentially, the news update is just kind of like a copy of the agenda that you put in the next meeting page with some heading information above it. So that's pretty much the additional information I wanted to give you. I hope this has been helpful.